order. And first thing is the minutes.
I like the minutes.
You liked them?
Good.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you, Dr. Rosie.
Here.
Okay. Let me just jot that down and, so it'll be 4-0. Perfect. This note, Steve. Okay, so, at the 11th hour, I got an email from, so Andrew and I don't see you going. There he is. There he is. I'll wait till Andrew connects and then I got an email from Wade Poulton because Andrew and I had put a letter together.
Hey guys, sorry
Andrew.
I'm a little late. Everyone's going slow on the highway, dark and rain.
It's raining. So, I did get a response at the 11th hour, Andrew.
Yes, I saw that while I was driving home and got the notification that it came.
So this is the letter I sent to Wade / that Andrew wrote for me. But anyway, after the last one, can you please address the following as soon as possible? Overall, we see this estimate as this is regarding the estimate from last time. Pretty reasonable. Here are some items that could use further clarification. Division 7, insulation at 33,000. Is this inclusive of all insulation scope? There was initially a portion of this scope owned in phase 1, knowing that numbers and priorities had moved around. We just wanted to verify the breadth that 33,000 covers. The most efficient path forward is to roughen any wall utilities and equipment prior to setting insulation for ease of access and workspace, knowing we're running very low on P1 funds. We want to be able to break this down. Division 22, plumbing at 200,000 allowance. This seems high. Although allowances are built to cushion and protect all parties, however, 200,000 is much higher than expected. Unless there is a scope that we're not considering, such as new water mains to the street or some other big ticket. We're accounting for water closets, 3 sinks, 1 small shower head, a wash basin for the janitor, a single basin sink in the catering kitchen, all is consolidated to one corner of the building, which we believe is where the current main is located. Clarity on this would be appreciated. Division 26, electrical, clarification on what is owned in P1 scope and what is to be provided. Last we knew there was rough-in and semi-permanent temp fixtures provided for closeout of P1. If this is no longer the case, we will have to rethink our strategy on insulation. Insulating in P1 helps with heating costs for the upcoming winter, but creates insufficiencies when not paired with rough-in. Overall, Steve Burton provided a 750,000 to 850,000 P2 budget roughly 2 years ago. If we apply an escalation of 10% per year to that number, we'd come out between 900 and $1 million. The number looks generally good, only looking for a clarification on these few items. In addition, we'd like to request a substantial completion punch list for the architect and contractor to walk through and discuss the closeout of the current phase. Thanks so much. And so he answered today.
26 minutes ago.
Yes, at 5:39. I looked before I left the house, but then when I looked again up here, and here it is. Yes, number 1, 33,000 should be the entire insulation scope. Number 2, I think that if we go with mini splits and some electric baseboard, so I guess that's their plumbing, they had heating in there, so I guess we didn't think about the heating. So mini splits and electric baseboard, that number could be reduced to 50,000. We would need to also have some small ERVs for fresh air. The big cost comes into play if for some reason there were multiple commercial boilers and a hydronic baseboard or an air handler units. If we stick with heat pumps and the electric baseboard as backup heat and some small ERVs, then the cost would be closer to 50,000, I would expect. So I guess that's what we, you know,
Well, we had 2 air units and an ERV in the quote unquote inaccessible attic space
yes,
that Kurt
exactly.
Magnuson had designed. So I'm wondering if either he didn't see that or didn't know about it, because obviously there was a turnover between
Yes,
Steve and him, and also when Nate was on board, and just a
yes,
lot of people in the pot. So we
yeah,
do have a mechanical design. So with
yes,
him talking about baseboard and mini
yeah.
splits, kind of makes me think that he wasn't
He doesn't
aware.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So, and then number 3, I'm not sure I follow your question specifically how the electrical lighting is tied to the insulation. If there's not temporary lights, then those can be certainly added very inexpensively at this point. $100 per room would get a temporary fixture that could be plugged into an extension cord. Regarding a substantial walkthrough, my understanding that phase 1 was previously considered to be wrapped up. I assumed that everyone was on the same page as folks were asking to have the dumpster and porta potty pulled off site. And if there was other work to do, then those are the items that would need to stay until work was completed. Those are the last demobilization activities that we typically do after a project is 100% wrapped up. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're asking for. What did you have in mind for the substantial completion walkthrough?
Yeah, okay, so to address number 3, asking how the electrical and lighting is tied to the insulation, really the only way it's tied in insulation is labor in subs. If we have insulation in before we have any conduit, any wires, any junction boxes, anything like that, then someone else is going to have to come in down the line, remove the insulation to do their install, and then put the insulation back. And sometimes electricians won't want to touch things that are out of their scope, so it could potentially devolve into an insulation person coming back to the site to temporarily remove and then reinstall. That's the only reason that I'm asking about any sort of any conduit that was owned as part of phase 1, because now that we're in a situation where we're going to potentially pull the trigger on insulating the building so that heating costs are reduced over the lifetime of this, let's call it phase 1 lifetime. It will just add some cost to the phase 2 scope, and so I was asking for clarification on if they were considering that or not. As far as if there's not temporary lights, they can be added very inexpensively at this point. I would suggest if Steve Burton is still part of Nick O'Day, I know he was stepping back for health reasons. I'm not sure if he's in the mix anymore, but I do know that I asked Steve many times what kind of lighting was left for phase 1. And he has said to me before, although I don't know if I have it in writing, that we own some temporary lighting for phase 1. So I think it was like 6 fixtures in the main space and then 1 fixture in each room in the back. If they don't have that in their current cost, like he said, it's very inexpensive to do that. Do we need to do it? I'm not so sure. So that's a question, I guess, for ultimately for you guys who will be managing the building for the next X amount of years until phase 2 starts. And then regarding his substantial completion walk, I guess maybe the terminology isn't completely correct. I'm not anticipating doing a walk that would identify work that still needs to be done.
Yes.
So it's okay that there is not a
Porta potty
mobilization
and
on
dumpster.
site.
Yes.
My only goal to do a quote unquote substantial completion walk of phase 1 is to just identify the priority items coming into phase 2. And if anything was not included in phase 1 due to cost restrictions or whatever the case may be, we need to know that going into phase 2. So if there was scope in phase 1 that wasn't addressed, I don't need them to do it, remobilize and do it, and I think you guys would be on board with that.
Yeah,
We just need to be aware of it for phase two, basically creating a checklist for ourselves for phase two. So if they're
Yes.
willing to just come to the site and walk us through how they wrapped everything up, what they did do, what might be left over, so that we can envelope that into a phase two budget and checklist for your future uses, and fundraising, knowing your goals and everything like that, and priorities. That's kind of how I'm thinking of a checklist or a walkthrough rather.
yes, yeah, and me too. I mean, we just need to know that what we had planned on was completed and then where the next step is. So,
Yeah.
but as we know, having a conversation hasn't been easy.
Yes.
And he had said that he was going to try to come down here anyway to deliver the surprise, but I haven't heard any more about the surprise. So if they want to do that and come down here and give us our sword and have a walkthrough, then that would be great. But no matter whether I mean, obviously I texted this morning and got a response, but I emailed a couple times in the past 4 weeks and hadn't gotten a response, so.
What's the surprise?
General Howard's sword there, because Carl, heck's his last name, I can never remember, Ward? Yes, I think his last name's Ward, was the one that told us that that was, part of the plan. And he was so
Yes.
excited about the project to begin with because
Right.
he was a Civil War buff and he had General Howard's sword. And so from my understanding, they've had it mounted and framed in
Shadow
like a
box.
shadow box, and we're going to give that to us. From
Wow.
what I understood in one of the emails a while back.
Well,
So,
that would be a nice surprise.
I had asked them to come to the Gary Crocker night because I thought that that would be an amazing thing to have as part of the
Presented.
Gary Crocker night.
Yeah.
But
No.
I didn't get anything back about that.
Is that being heated now?
No,
Not yet.
we haven't turned anything on yet, no, because hasn't been cold enough. And Steve Brown and I chatted after the last meeting and he said that he was comfortable in waiting to turn it on until December, sometime in December, because it really doesn't stay cold for a prolonged period of time until then, overnights and days and stuff, so we haven't turned anything on yet. I have talked to the insulation people. The name is Quality Insulation. The kid that came up here, I say kid, the guy that came up and did the initial walkthrough was Steve Brown and probably
Yeah, I was
Dave.
there as well.
And you were there,
yeah.
you were there too?
Yeah.
He is on paternity leave. After I initially talked to him, he said, I might be going out anytime now. And sure enough, within a week, he was out on paternity leave for like 2 months. So then I got a call from the kid that he works with that picked up his stuff to handle during the paternity leave, because this is just what things have been like for us. And this kid's name is John Martin, and I texted him this morning because he needed to go through all of those initial notes and then see if he could come up here and kind of do a walkthrough, which I was gonna coordinate, if he needed it. But I'm sure he's a one-armed paper hanger filling in for somebody else, plus the way things are. So
So we don't have a quote yet?
we don't have a quote yet. There was one, but he needed to redo it for Roxel, to change it to Roxel because that's what we need to have in the walls. And I think it was for, regular pink insulation. So, and then we had talked about the ceiling in the, over the 1914 part, that, we talk about insulation in there, but not the main hall because there's already old insulation there, so. So I'm waiting to get that, like everything else. And then we kind of, Andrew and I kind of talked about what we need to do about that electricity, even if we just ran the wires and had them sticking out to attach the boxes to, or had the boxes with nothing there, you know, and then you could put insulation up. So that part would be addressed. And it's been so long since I've walked around in there and paid attention and thought about, well, what's there? I knew they had some temporary lighting down in the basement, and I knew there was some temporary lighting in the main hall and probably like one pigtail over in the 1914 edition, but I think that's the big thing. We just need to get in there and say, okay, we've got these lights here and these wires are roughed in over here. So
That wouldn't be a big expense, would it, Chris, to do that?
I don't think so. Would just be a matter of whether we were gonna, you know, ask Carmel to come down here and whether they still owe us something, which I don't know. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, I
So-
think that's a little unclear if they do.
Carmel Electric is who did the electric in there and who put the fuse boxes in and, I mean.
So you have a breaker box and everything. in
Yes,
place.
that's all there. And who ran all of the initial electrical and put up those temporary fixtures. Carmel has been involved. I think that one of the guys that owns Carmel is Steve Burton's son-in-law or something, I think, right? I think that there was some relation there anyway, so.
Yeah, probably. It seems like all the people in construction in this area are related somehow.
Yes. So, you know, they were, you know, and depending on what's left and what's owed to them, that's why we just kind of need somebody that knows those things to come in and have a checklist with Andrew and Steve Brown, you know, and just kind of say, yeah, we've done this, this, and this is where we need to go next. And this is what we should have before we put in insulation, so.
Yeah, and you know, to be honest, you know, insulating prior to electrical work is not the end of the world. We just
Yeah.
have to understand the implications of that, you know.
Yeah.
If we let's say save $5,000 a year on heating costs because it's insulated, then maybe that washes out when you go to, you know, because it creates extra labor on the flip end of it all. So
Yeah.
is it something that makes or breaks the project? Absolutely not. And should it be insulated? I think, you know, jumping on that sooner rather than later with the budget and money that we have left makes more sense than, you know, having two trades come in and I think it's all about weighing the pros and cons at this point.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, that kid has been at Quality, has been good about getting back to me, so, and answering his messages. So I'll reach out to him again and say, you know, where are we with this and can we?
What would
move
it
forward?
take just to rough it in? I mean, you gotta, of course, drill through all the supports, 2x4s, but to get the wiring roughed in where we know it's going to go
Mhm.
and the box is put in. I mean, we're not asking him to fire it up or anything.
No, no,
But
exactly.
how much time would that take in money?
You know, it may be worth getting a quote for a rough-in. I don't know if Nick O'Day ever broke that down or if it's just a full service. I mean, in that estimate that he gave us, I don't know how quickly I can pull that up, but there wasn't a lot of granularity there. It was more just a bunch of gross numbers for each division of work. But getting a quote for just a rough-in can at least inform you, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Well, and the other thing is we only need the outside walls roughed in. I mean, we don't need the inside walls roughed in. So when you figure the outside walls, it seems to me that it would be worth it.
Yeah, so Chris, you said you spoke to someone at Carmel Electric, so you already have a contact there. You could just totally.
No, I don't know anybody, but I'm sure
Okay.
I can pick up the phone and say, who handled this? There
Yeah.
are some local contractors that Steve Eldridge brought up to say, you know, ask that are alumni. One of them, his father was the principal.
Yeah, Connor.
And say, would you be willing to, you know, come and just rough in the electrical?
It's a free ask.
Yeah,
All I
exactly.
can say is yes or no, you know, I mean, that's the thing.
And you have a guy who lives here in town, who works for Du Bois Electric, and he did all the electrical work for the fire station.
Oh, yeah.
Museum, yeah.
Labor.
Yeah,
Just
it
charge
was-
them for materials.
Exactly. It's,
I can't remember his name.
Rhonda Carr's husband, why can't I think of his name?
I don't know.
You know,
Doug
What,
West.
Doug West. Doug
yes,
West,
Doug
yeah.
West.
I mean, it's worth asking, I mean, you know,
Exactly.
you won't write us a check, but maybe, you know,
Yes.
give us some
And like
idea
I
where it's
said, just the
going.
outside walls, that's all you have to worry about.
And Doug West has done some work for the Historical Society. You know, just
Yeah, for the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. It's worth an ask.
Would you like me to call him?
yeah, that would be great.
He's done work at my house. So.
Connor or Doug?
Doug.
Doug, yeah. And,
I
You
can
know.
call Connor too, but
and all the cars went through Monmouth.
yeah.
And his kids did too, so, you know,
I'll call Connor too.
yeah.
Is there any, do we have blueprints of what the electrical?
Yeah, you've got all that, the electrical drawings, correct, Andrew?
Yeah, there's some electrical drawings, but as far as like outlet locations and switch locations, I don't believe we have that. In commercial properties, outlets are actually not really regulated. It's you're not required to have a certain amount. It's kind of by the owner. And I don't imagine you'll need a ton of outlets. I know that you have what's his name at Stone Mountain Sound just gave you a
Yes.
quote for audio, video. So that's all going to be separate runs, and he'll deal with that when that happens. So,
Yeah,
you know, as far as specific placement and spacing, you could really just kind of ask them like, hey, 2 boxes along this wall, 2 boxes along this wall, and then 1 in every other room.
Yeah.
In sort of the multi-purpose room, you'll probably want a couple of boxes, just, you know, for if there's projectors that need to be plugged in,
Yes.
computers, TVs, whatever, a
yes,
Wi-Fi router, things like that. So,
yeah,
but other than that, you know, you can kind of just tell them what you want. And then switching locations,
Do we need a permit to do electrical before we start? In Monmouth?
yes, but the electrician will usually pull those.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna check and see. I'm gonna look at. I think it was.
And as far as all the audio video, that would be on interior walls anyway.
Electric.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Slap happen.
Yeah, because we know that,
Yeah, and
we
their
know
dogs.
that they,
It's worth a
we're
shot.
going to use,
Doesn't he own the generator?
when you walk into
Yeah,
Generator.
the
And does he operate out of there?
entryway,
I believe they still.
or into the
Yeah.
big hall, the audio visual was gonna be on the right-hand side. You know,
And Dan-
on
Danny
the
retired,
wall
but
towards
Steve and Dave is still there, right? And then
the fairgrounds.
Yeah, probably.
I think they're focusing on generators. I don't
Yeah.
think that they're doing the other
They're doing
stuff, and I
some.
was going to hold that ask back for the generator. That was going to be my ask,
Warming center.
yeah, for the generator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey.
Oh, we can talk to him about that too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I've done mine a year now. It's gone on once
so,
because it was you know, called from CMP saying we're gonna be shutting the power off for about, 4 hours. So just thought we'd let you know. Okay.
So I'm looking at. I found the electrical plans.
yeah,
We're showing lighting locations, emergency lighting locations, and emergency exit signs. There is no switching or like receptacles. So, and that's typical. A light switching plan kind of comes further down the road, and that's something that we would work on together. Or you can mark up, and an electrician can just price off of that where you want switches or receptacles. But I can send this over to you as well, just to get a general idea for an electrician to look at. And,
Yeah.
and if you want to take like a red pen or something and kind of mark, 2 receptacles all along the north hall wall, 2 on the south hall wall, 1 in every room in the back, and then maybe 2 or 3 in the like quad boxes in the multimedia room. And an electrician
Mhm.
can take that and a lot of that might be on interior walls in the back anyway. So really you'd only be worrying about the hall and then anything along the exterior.
Okay.
So I'll just send this over to you while I have it open right now so you can look at it.
Yeah. All right. And so thinking about having Nick O'Day, come down to kind of check those boxes. I'm not sure, whether you and I work on why we're asking that to answer his questions about our questions, Andrew. So, or whether
Um,
that's,
Sure. I mean, it can go a couple of different ways. If they're planning on visiting the site to give you something, um, maybe the least aggressive way to do it is to just while they're there walk through and maybe you and Steve Brown would be great to walk through it with you to get an understanding of where things have
yeah,
been left off, and you can share that with me later so it doesn't seem like I'm criticizing what work could be done. Contractors hate walkthrough punch lists. Um, but the other way we could do it is I could schedule a time with them to go through it. Or they may never come back. I'm not sure. I mean, at this point, with how they're handling the end of phase 1, I'm not sure if you guys would even consider like continuing contract with them through phase 2. And so maybe it's politically or diplomatically how you want to handle that at some point in the future. Who knows? Really, the only thing I need out of it, or you and us need out of it, is to know what to expect when a phase 2 were to continue.
Well, for phase 2, at this point, do we need a real big contractor to finish off a lot of these projects, or could small contractors do them?
Nope, I think just a local person could probably handle the rest of what's here. The biggest lift literally is if we go with the mechanical design. There's 2 rather large units in the attic space along in the back of the building, which at some point we were talking about creating a 60 square foot louver hole that we could crane and lift the mechanical units in through that hole and then put a louver grate on it. I don't know where that stands at this point because obviously, Nick O'Day had all of that brickwork redone and repointed and it looks great. So I don't think we really want to think about that. There was another talk of if we rebuild the dormers on the back of the building, we could open up the roof and lift some mechanical units up through there. So that's kind of the biggest, most complex thing that's remaining that I see. And
Question, heat pumps for that building, is that a really difficult building to take care of with heat pumps?
yes, it is. And I had discussed this with the mechanical engineer, Kurt Magnuson, and he said, no heat pumps, please.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Unless they're on the scale of like what Compton just did, and that was a huge project, and that was, specialized commercial sized heat pumps that they look like moon landing things out there, so those are huge. Yeah,
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, but that's, a whole other thing. What ours was pretty
Yeah, I mean,
normal.
pretty standard air handling units that
Yeah.
would be ducted and heat and cool, and then have an ERV in the space as well. So it's not huge, but it might be slightly larger than, like, say, a home builder contractor would feel comfortable doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the commercial heating unit companies, I mean, couldn't they take it up in pieces and assemble it up there?
Theoretically, yes. The only access we have currently is the hatch.
Right.
I don't, and I remember actually someone saying, and it might have been Nate Colby when he was. I think this question may have come up when we did the insulation walkthrough, and he said that he doesn't know of any company that would have their service people go up and down hatch ladders with equipment. So that's kind of when.
Where's their sense of adventure?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was the conversation that led to rebuilding the dormers on the back of the building, because we could open up the roof, lift equipment through, and then close the roof up with a dormer and put the louvers on the dormer rather than knocking down the brick on the gable ends. So that's
And-
where that conversation started.
Well, how about if you cut a hole in the floor and use those lifts and just lift all the equipment up, kind of like in a hay loft where you have a hole in the floor and they've got these lifts now that go quite a height.
Yeah, I'm is it a possibility? Yes, I think, if somebody were on board to do that, conversations could be had on the most effective way to get that done, with a couple of factors, like, do we want to rebuild part of the roof, or would we rather rebuild part of the floor? Those kind of factors. I don't think anything's out of the question within reason. But I guess I can't say for sure how that would roll out, or how it would impact, like, cost or the. Sorry, there's my cat.
That's all right, don't apologize, we want to see the cat, right, Doug? Look, it's a girl kitty, of course, with
The girl kitty with a
tricolor.
bunch of paws.
Oh, yay, we love those too, because we have those. I have double pod cats, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they all came from one cat that was in Boston 100 or so odd years ago.
Polydactyl.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what my mom said. She actually has 6 or 7 toes on every single foot, which is, I think, even rarer. But yeah, she's a good cat. She just likes to climb all over the place.
Well, yes.
Use every single toe.
Yes.
So I can't really promise or speak to what impact that would have on who could do it, what the cost would be, and what the timeline of that would be, I guess.
Well, Steve Brown could help us with that, I think. That's
Yeah.
really something for Steve.
And I don't think they closed up that floor to the hatch yet. I think it was still kind of a bigger hole. If I'm recalling going in there recently, it's not to the hatch size yet. It's still.
Have you been in since the sort of grand opening where they lifted the bell up?
I have been.
We
in,
rang
but
the
I'm
bell.
telling you, We rang the bell. I have been in
Yeah.
there since then, because Lori and I walked in that way, but I guess I didn't look up, so.
I think they're talking about putting mechanical stuff.
Yes, the mechanical stuff has always been planned to go upstairs into the area over the 1914 area, like over where the bathrooms and where you walk in, right here, so. The T part, the top of the T.
Why not use the basement?
Because it's too wet, and then the basement was too wet to have that down there. It always had been upstairs because that's where the ductwork would be to get the air in there, correct?
Correct, and it's just generally a little bit more efficient when you think of the cycling. Like, obviously, we know heat rises and stuff. When you think of cycling forced air, pushing heat down and having it re-rise to be recollected through an ERV and pushed out and cooled, and the cycling is more efficient when it's higher.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So is the, I mean, I haven't walked in there and looked up, I guess, so.
I feel like it is, but I guess I can't say for sure. I remember going in, I think I've been in once since the opening, and I feel like it was closed up, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, someday when I'm up here and it's daylight, I'll go, go in there and look up and see
I
what's
have a
there.
lamp. I have that lamp. Call me. I'll call you.
Yeah, well, I'll just, go in when it's light out, because one of the other things that we planned on doing is having the maple trees down, and I've talked to Kevin Wing, but I think that with all the wind we've just had, he's been busy doing tree stuff, and he hasn't connected with me to come up and walk through about the maple trees out front, that he is going to take down for us. And part of the deal with him is that when he's up here for that, that I'm taking him inside the building because he wants to go inside because he hasn't been in yet, so.
Good.
So I've got that opportunity anyway, so that is going to happen. Those old maple trees are gonna come down.
Sad.
Yeah,
Was he in your class?
No. He's younger than I am.
yeah, I think he was somewhere around Darlene's age,
Yeah,
so,
not mine.
yeah,
It's happening all over town. I've got
yeah,
I know.
mine in front of going.
yeah, yeah.
I got two of
So-
them going.
So that answers those questions. I guess, the last final question, Andrew, will say, how best do you want to handle what we want to ask him to do for the checklist? Say mainly it's just a checklist, so we know what we've completed to move forward to phase two?
Yeah, I think so. And he may come back and say that the estimate should take care of that because he's only quoting work that still needs to be done. And that may be true to an extent, but because the estimate isn't granular enough for me to know what the estimate is talking about, like, let's just say, for example, let's say we do own temp lighting in phase one, or let's even say we own a rough-in in phase one, but in that phase two estimate, all he did was gave us one big number for electrical. So I don't know if that is non-inclusive or if that is inclusive of rough-in, because obviously they didn't do the rough-in now. So if he's wrapping up rough-in in the phase two cost, I just want to know that so that we can expect it. I don't think that their estimate is granular enough for us to not get surprises for things. And so really the goal of a walkthrough, I don't even know if I'd call it a checklist because that might scare him a little bit, but just a walkthrough to get on the same page and know what to expect for a phase two.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Andrew, I have one quick question. Were you able to find out from Paul or John Kirk why they did the windows they did for the Preservation Commission so we could submit a letter?
Yes. So I apologize that he hasn't written the letter yet, but we talked about it.
Okay,
And he has photos. We have photos of the building from the original construction that has the paned windows that we have. During the, I think the first edition was 1914 or early 1900s. During the first edition, it looks like all of the windows were replaced. And so the single pane, either they were replaced or the grills were added onto them or something happened where basically after the first edition up until current, or not current, but prior to these windows, was the window that you've seen and been used to. But the original building actually had large pane glass, which is kind of surprising for the time. So we believe, while it's not exactly the same amount of paned lights, I think we counted like 12 and 5 or something like that, like 12 tall, 5 wide. That we're in a relative adjacency to a historic, homage rather than the exact amount. So it's not out of the question that it's in relative similarity, but I have asked him multiple times to write that, and we did discuss it. So he's away at a conference right now in Ohio. comes back Wednesday, so I will discuss it with him again Wednesday. And we do.
That
have
would be
the-
good.
Yeah,
Because
do
we
have-
may try to get it listed on the National Register based on Harry Cochran's edition, period.
and we do have pictures of it.
Okay.
So we can include that in the letter. And the only reason that I haven't written anything is because I'm not a licensed architect, so I want the language and the professional merit to kind of back that up. I think I'd prefer, and you guys would probably prefer Paul, the status of
Right.
Paul's license to assist with that letter. So I'll stay on him.
Okay.
He's a little ADHD. He gets distracted very easily. But I have asked him a couple of times. So I'll try and get that this week when he comes back.
Is there anything else we need to go over?
Don't think so. I mean, if Nick O'Day doesn't have any more recs, if they think that they're done, so. And I told Jacob not to bill you for this time because it's just not even an hour of my time. It's not worth it. So I don't think there's any recs to sign.
He wants cookies. Gonna have to make him cookies.
I do love cookies. I do. How's your molasses? I love a good molasses.
I got a great recipe.
I had Lillian's recipe.
Okay. Let us know when you're coming and there'll be cookies.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that's everything we've got for Andrew, and
Go have dinner.
I'll copy you on my email, or I'll write something and have you look at it, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew, I really appreciate it. Bye.
Have a nice dinner.
Take care.
Thanks. So we don't have anything from Nick O'Day. We don't have any Paul Designs. There's no invoices that we have to
Oh,
approve.
God.
Those, thank goodness. Kevin Wings is going to do the maple trees, thanks to Dr. Bougie working with him, and I've talked to him a couple times. He's gonna do those without any charge.
Oh,
Thank you,
Or
Larry.
we'll do
Yes.
a plaque for his family, which he'll tell me what he wants it to be. Fundraising, again, Dr. Bougie reached out to Charlie Jacobs. I had several conversations with Charlie Jacobs, and he talked with his, I call him Economic, sorry, Skip and Rick. Sorry. He talked with Skip and Rick, and I guess Laurel or Lauren must
Lauren,
be his daughter,
Yeah.
Yes.
Charlie's
It's
daughter.
Charlie's daughter.
Okay. And so between Charlie and the boys and his daughter, Charlie brought me a check for $10,000 last week.
wow.
So
Wow.
I haven't taken it up to the
Nice.
town office because it was the day of voting, and then I was out of town during the day, most of the end of the last week. And then he also bought 3 of Rudy's books because of Linda's mention in that. So he bought 3 books as well. So in one day, I garnered $10,105. So that brought us to our fundraising is a total of $122,700. So that's where we are with a dollar amount for fundraising, which isn't on the top of that breakdown of the spreadsheet because there's a weird column in there that I don't understand, and I've got to ask Justin about it, which is where it says hopefully. I'm
Yes.
not sure what that is, and it must have been something Don did. I don't know why it's there. I don't know how that spreadsheet is adding or subtracting that or whatever it is. So I've been hesitant to put a new number because I'm not sure how the spreadsheet is working up there. So
It's 123 on what?
$122,700 is the total that should be in fundraising, but I'm
That's
not
wonderful.
Yeah.
sure,
That
yeah,
is wonderful.
so that was wonderful to have that, and, you know, it does give us a little cushion. Yes, we made like 3,500 for the Gary Crocker show, which should go a long way for heating, but it will help if we decide to do some electrical and then do the insulation. And I would think that with those heat pumps in there, the electrician, whoever, if we do the rough-in, and then the insulator folks, they'll be able to work in there during the
Right, it won't be
winter
too cold, right?
with those Renais running in there for them, so.
Yeah, you could win a project for somebody.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hopeful that, we'll have that and move forward with that. So, and I know you've been.
Yeah, I've got an application, well, a request to be considered for a grant application for Northern Borders. It's the main thing, but you have to be invited. You have to tell them about your project and they'll get back to you. And they got back to me, but they're overwhelmed with requests for projects, but they will get back to me.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when that's gonna come. I have looked into Susan Collins' office and they're not taking any applications at this time. They just finished up the ones that are coming for 2026, and same with Angus King. And some of the other, one of the community foundations, I, for some reason, can't get into it, even though I can log in. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with their website. But, and Alphont and Libra Foundation still aren't taking any more applications. So and keep looking at their website to hopefully eventually they'll open up for some more, but so I am on a search
Yeah,
at this point.
because everybody's in the same boat we are. So,
I did have a company that will help us write grants. I have to get back to her. It was $48 a month and they search for them and stuff, but I haven't gotten back to her since my back and that kind of stuff's going on, but I need to do that this week, so. Otherwise, I get grants, the catalog that comes out electronically and, keep looking for stuff there, but
Yeah.
I haven't found anything for capital projects, a lot
Yeah.
of stuff for operational expenses,
Yeah.
but which we'll go for when we get it finished.
yeah,
So
Um,
if anybody has any ideas or where else to look, I know Larry's always sending me stuff, but, I'm at wit's end.
I know. Well, hopefully Northern Borders will
Yeah.
open an invite to us
Yeah,
because.
they offer up quite a bit of money,
Yeah, exactly.
so that could be what completes it.
And then when the legislature reconvenes in January for the unfinished business, Randy Greenwood told me he's going to ask for the fiscal note to be removed so that bond will just flow through. Because without the fiscal note, it should all of a sudden, that historic preservation.
Like that.
Well, I mean, the only reason they asked for $25,000 fiscal note was the fact that they thought they'd be inundated with places that, because they had, initially made it so it was only historic registry properties, but we pushed the envelope and opened it to people with
Comprehensive plans.
historic buildings listed in comprehensive plans and also or historic ordinances. So I think they thought they'd be inundated, but Winthrop was excited for that as well because of their Grange. So they wanted to be in there. That's why Tavis Hassenfass and Craig, jumped on it too because, and I got a phone call from John Hale, who I never heard of this guy. Hale. He lives in North Monmouth. And he reached out to Bonnie Green and he works with the Kennebec Historic Society. And he writes things for their newsletter. And he is so upset that the Lewiston Sun and the Kennebec Journal don't cover anything happening in Monmouth. I said, well, it's because they cut and paste the Portland Press Herald now, it's not even a local paper anymore.
Nothing local.
So he is writing for a newsletter and he talked to me for quite a while about the academy and he's going to put it in his newsletter and hopefully get it into the Kennebec Journal as well. And I sent him, the article from Russ Dillingham from the Bell Tower project, and I sent him the link to the video from Channel 5 and answered a lot of his questions about it. And I asked him to send me the article before he published it because I wanted to just check it
Right.
for accuracy, that we had the right information in there. So I haven't heard from him. It was like last Sunday. It was a week ago Sunday. He called me. So I've got his phone number. I'll probably reach back out to him and say, hey, how's it coming? Do you
Can I
have-"
see a draft of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
make
'Cause
sure it's
I
accurate.
just want to make sure that we have the right information, because there
Right.
were a lot of things that, you know, because this project is odd, and he's like, so when do you think it'll be finished? I'm like, I
don't know,
can't
did
give
you wanna write a
that.
check?
Yeah, that's what I said, well, if somebody wants to write a check, we'll finish it this
Tomorrow.
summer, but,
Yeah.
you know, but anyway, just getting that information, and he was hopeful that if it was in the newsletter, that it might garner some attention from people that are involved in the historical society out there. But do you know him? I don't,
He lives up on Highland Terrace. in
Oh, okay.
Monmouth,
okay,
One of those mill houses.
yeah,
And his wife has recently passed. And, I know him kind of
from the museum or just from North Monmouth,
just from,
being around?
yeah.
Okay.
Getting his mail.
Yeah. So, you know, Bonnie pointed him in my direction, and then I talked to him for a while. So hopefully we'll see that, but I'll reach back out.
Did you get
to
any
him.
response at all from the messenger that you put together?
I haven't heard anything, and I've got to find out, how the first rec committee meeting went, because that happened
Yeah.
on like the 29th or something like that.
How many people are on that committee?
I believe it's
At least six,
8.
Is that a new
Eight.
committee?
The new committee, the new rec committee. So
great people.
some really great people, Hope, you know, Libby Helmer,
some
who is
doctors,
Steve Brown's daughter-in-law.
Some doctors.
Yeah,
And,
and Darlene's on it,
yeah,
representing the, the age-friendly side. The basketball coach, who I never can remember his name.
Yeah,
Conrad. It's his-
No, the boys' basketball
oh,
coach.
Wade.
Wade Morrill, yes, Wade Morrill. There are 2 teachers anyway, Wade and another teacher, Libby, who is Steve Brown's daughter-in-law, the veterinarian, and she's got young kids, and, you know, her
Wow.
parents moved here to be part of their grandchildren, so she's interested in it from, you know, kids' perspective, her perspective, because they do a lot of outdoor activity, they run, and, of course, horseback riding, and then her parents, you know, to be involved in things. Yeah, and we don't have anything else to vote on. It's just a matter of, do you have, we can pick the time.
I have a granddaughter that's 23 today, and we're doing cake and ice cream. I know she's 23, but she's still a student, grad student. She's doing her clinicals, working.
becoming
She is going to be an athletic trainer, but where she wants to end up is to be an athletic trainer in the operating room with
Oh, yeah.
orthopedic surgeons.
Yeah,
Because they have them in there, but she needs to do, you know, she's gotta finish her, of course, graduate studies. And then she has to work for a little bit as an athletic trainer, you know, when she's been doing her clinical right now at Thomas College. And, you know, so she'll do that, and then she would like to get into the operating room.
Connect with,
Yes,
have her connect with Ally.
yeah, I will.
Ally's just finishing her PhD in medical science. Will be done by April. So
I will.
she's kind of worried about what's going on in the medical field. and
Yeah,
Whether there'll be enough jobs for everybody, but connect her.
I will.
Do you have her phone number?
I don't.
December 8th.
I can do that. If you had gone
Okay.
any later, I'd
No,
be gone.
well,
Okay.
December 8th, I think we need to do it early in the month. How does that look for you, Dr. Bougie?
That'd
December
be
8th?
fine.
Okay, all right.
And I think we need to consider maybe not going with a contractor for phase two, but just getting
Basically
local
a,
people and finish off some of these projects.
Yeah, I
Plan
mean,
fusion?
it definitely,
Give you
you know,
specifics.
because of the scope, it definitely leaves us the opportunity to try to work with more local people and, you know, there's a guy in the center of Monmouth who does sheetrock, and I believe he owns that company, so he's somebody that we could talk to if he was interested.
Well, and
Um,
I know a plumber who might do it to have his family honored too, so.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think there are a lot of possibilities
There's a lot
out there.
of possibilities for that. I think the biggest thing, like Andrew said, is the scope for the, you know, the mechanical for the heating and
Yeah.
cooling aspect of it.
Calling it mobile is
And we could talk to
632.
Steve Brown about that. That's something
Yeah.
Steve dealt
Yeah.
with his whole
Okay, wait a
life,
second.
so.
And,
632-7705, area code 207.
Yeah.
and,
And what's her last name?
Shabbat, SHABOT, and her email, I don't think she's changed it, is Allison Gear.
Well, anyways, we can
God.
talk with Steve Brown about the
Yeah.
mechanical,
At
but it sounds like
hotmail.com.
everything else could be done by
Excellent.
local people.
and, you know,
They warned them.
Jeff has
Thank you
his,
so much.
one of his
Yeah,
best
they-
friends owns a commercial
I
painting
did my
company.
back from there.
Yeah.
And I will
He,
ask
basically
Alex
went in,
to
I
paint
my
the
spinal cord
interior of the building,
was
so I will
Yeah.
ask Alex to do
by
that.
one of the-
Well, good, good.
So, you know, there's, I think the opportunities for the exterior things are
L4.
you know, to
They
get, you know,
cleaned out-
collaboration
Have a great
between.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
happy Thanksgiving, Lori.
Go have cake and ice cream and.
So I think, you know, having a
Okay, well.
collaboration of local contractors
They
and
cleaned that
just
out
working
and
through
they
that,
wedges in.
you know, process, so.
Which
Plus it will get them to
Much
buy
older,
into the
you
whole
know, but then
project
they put
too, you
in
know?
two
Yeah, I think
stainless
so.
steel
I think
rods
so.
on each side
So,
to keep it in place.
So December 8th is fine with me.
okay, so December 8th, 6 PM
So you're back
and.
like now, right?
Yeah. So the
And-
first 2 weeks, it was really uncomfortable.
I just will ask if there's any public comment, just to go through the agenda. And then, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Bougie. Did you want to add
So it's-
anything
it was a
else,
lumbar
or are you
Nope.
good?
Fusion.
Nope, I'm
Okay.
good.
They call it.
All right,
A little bit more
thank you
detailed.
so much.
Okay.
It'll take me 6 months before